The genius nobody wanted. How Frank Lampard broke football. Most people know Frank Lampard as the highest-scoring midfielder in Premier League history, but almost nobody knows that a secret Mensa intelligence test proved his IQ score is higher than 99% of the global population. This is the story of a boy who was publicly mocked, called too fat to play the game, and accused of only getting a chance because of his family name, yet used his extraordinary mind to rewrite the history of modern football forever. Born into a footballing dynasty in Romford, East London, Frank faced a unique kind of poverty, not of wealth, but of identity and validation. His father, Frank Lampard Sr., was a legendary West Ham defender, and his uncle was Harry Redknapp, meaning the shadow cast over the young boy was suffocatingly massive. From the moment he could walk, Frank was pushed to his physical limits by a father who refused to let his son become a spoiled product of privilege. Late at night, while other children slept, a young Frank would be forced to run laps around dark local parks, tears streaming down his face as his father shouted from the sidelines to keep moving. He was not naturally gifted with lightning pace or mesmerizing dribbling skills, which made him an easy target for cruel comparisons. His early childhood was defined by this relentless pursuit of perfection, a desperate, silent plea to prove that he belonged in the world of professional football on his own merit rather than just his birthright. Every scraped knee and bruised shin cemented a deep, unshakable obsession with work ethic over raw talent. He learned to visualize the pitch before he even stepped onto it, treating the grass like a chessboard where space had to be calculated mathematically. While others relied on natural instinct, Frank relied on analytical survival, knowing that any failure would be blamed on nepotism. This intense emotional crucible shaped a mind that welcomed pressure, turning a quiet, reserved boy into a relentless machine determined to silence the whispers before they could even begin. As he entered his teenage years and joined the West Ham United Academy, the whispers grew into a deafening roar of public hostility. The ultimate test of his mental fortitude came during a routine fan forum event when an angry supporter openly attacked a teenage Lampard, claiming he was not good enough and only occupied a spot in the squad because his father was the assistant manager. The footage of that moment remains a haunting testament to the abuse he endured, showing a young, vulnerable teenager sitting awkwardly while his uncle Harry Redknapp fiercely defended him, predicting that Frank would go straight to the top of world football. But the psychological scars were deep, and every single time Frank stepped onto the pitch for West Ham, his own home fans would boo his name and mock his physical appearance by calling him Fat Frank. Instead of breaking down under the weight of this toxic environment, the teenager chose to outwork every single human being in the club. He became infamous for staying hours after training sessions concluded, practicing his shooting in the pitch-black English winters until his boots were soaked in mud and his muscles screamed for relief. He fought through a devastating broken leg during his teenage development, a moment that threatened to derail his entire career before it truly began, but his recovery was defined by an aggressive, almost manic dedication to fitness. By the time he broke into the West Ham first team regularly, he had transformed his body into iron and his mind into steel, proving that no amount of fan vitriol could stop his inevitable ascent. Yet, the atmosphere at his club remained poisoned by resentment, and Frank knew that to truly find his own identity, he had to leave his family sanctuary behind and embark on a perilous journey across London. In 2001, Chelsea took a massive £11 million gamble on the 22-year-old midfielder, a fee that invited immense media scrutiny. What followed was the birth of an era that completely revolutionized how the world viewed a central midfielder. Under the tactical genius of Jose Mourinho, who famously told Lampard he was the best player in the world in the Stamford Bridge showers, Frank unlocked his ultimate form. He possessed an uncanny, almost supernatural ability to time his late runs into the penalty box, arriving exactly when the ball dropped to unleash a devastating finish. Year after year, he put up goal-scoring numbers that rivaled world-class strikers, defying the traditional boundaries of his position and anchoring a Chelsea team that broke the Manchester United and Arsenal duopoly. The peak of his dramatic career arrived in 2005 when he scored 2 historic goals against Bolton Wanderers to secure Chelsea their first league title in 50 years, earning him a second-place finish in the Ballon d'Or standings just behind Ronaldinho. But his journey was also marked by profound, heartbreaking tragedy when his beloved mother, Pat, passed away suddenly from pneumonia in 2008. Just days later, with his eyes red from crying, Frank stepped up to take a high-stakes penalty in the Champions League semi-final against Liverpool, converting it calmly before pointing to the heavens in a moment that brought an entire stadium to tears. His ultimate redemption on the European stage came in 2012 in Munich, captaining Chelsea against Bayern Munich in their own stadium, lifting the Champions League trophy against all imaginable odds. By the time he left Chelsea, he had scored an astonishing 211 goals, solidifying his status as the club's all-time top scorer and a Premier League icon. Even after his playing career concluded with spells at Manchester City and New York City FC, his obsession with the game led him directly into the world of football management. He took the reins at Derby County, before answering an emotional distress call from his beloved Chelsea during a transfer ban, where he successfully blooded a new generation of academy graduates. His managerial path has been a turbulent rollercoaster, featuring tough stints at Everton and a temporary return to Stamford Bridge. Now in 2026, Frank Lampard stands at a fascinating crossroads, deeply respected as an elite football analyst while actively preparing for his next major managerial chapter in a rapidly evolving global landscape. He remains an eternal student of the game, a man whose unique intellectual brilliance allow him to view football through a lens that very few can match. From the boy who was scoffed at by his own supporters to a certified icon of global sport, Frank Lampard proved that natural talent is merely a starting point, and that true greatness is forged through an indomitable will and a beautiful mind.